Good morning again. This is Carter Conlon, and welcome to my morning. This is day 3 of talking about the life of Peter in the context of Romans chapter 8 and verse 28. Let's see if we know it this morning. I want you to say it with me as I read it. Romans 8:28. And we know, and we know, and we know that all things, not just some things, not just a few things, all things, work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. So, and we know this. We know this. You know, that even just changing our thinking on some of these things, like, can get us out of the funk, in the sense of, God, get me out of the storm and I'll be the best Christian ever. Just, God, change this in my life. God, do that. God, set me free from this. And do we really know? Do we really know that all things work together? You can't have it both ways, folks. I'm going to say it straight out. It can't be just some things. It has to be all things. It's all or nothing. I've learned over the years, listen, I've had my share of struggles. I've had my share of trials. But I actually know that all things work together for good because I love God and I have been called according to his purpose. Most of the times, I don't even know where God's been leading until I look over my shoulder behind me and say, oh, that's what you were doing. And you learn over the years that God is faithful. It's amazing how faithful God is. So let's review just for a second. Peter's in the boat. The storm is severe. Jesus comes walking on the water. They crowd for fear. They think it's a ghost. And in the midst of it all, Peter says, Lord, if it's you, bid me come to you on the water. I'll still never figure out what's in his heart saying that, because he should know he can't walk on water. But anyways, he doesn't say, Lord, make it known to me. Lord, manifest to me. Lord, come to me, which is our typical prayer, right? Our prayer usually is, if it's you speaking, come to me. No, Peter says, if it's you speaking, make me come to you and make me walk on a place I've never walked before. That's his prayer. So then he does that. He starts to fail and Jesus lifts him up. Later on, when Christ is arrested and taken to the cross, Peter suffers a huge failure in his walk, where this time he goes down in his own thinking, only to find the hand of God reaches him one more time. And Jesus Christ says to him, peace. Brings him to a campfire in the morning in John chapter 21, feeds him along with the rest and fish and biscuits, and then 3 times asks him the question, do you love me? Do you love me more than these? Do you love me, Peter? Do you love me? It must have troubled Peter, because it says the 3rd time, he said he was basically exasperated. You know I love you. You know all things. Why do you keep asking me this? And I'm sure that Peter must have been thinking, why did he ask me 3 times? Why wasn't once enough? He knows I love him. Why did he keep asking me the same question? And it would have been in his mind, why 3 times? Why not once? And did he ask me once for each time I denied him? That can't be, because that would make the Son of God very petty. Why? What is the significance of 3 times? And I want to suggest to you there was a significance, because in the book of Acts chapter 10, it tells us that Peter was on a journey and he went to stay at a particular man's house. And as they were preparing supper, verse 9 of Acts 10, he went on the housetop to pray. And he became hungry and wanted to eat, and while they made ready, he fell into a trance. And he saw heaven open, like a vision hit him. And a sheet bound at the 4 corners descending to him and let down to the earth. And in it were all kinds of 4-footed animals of the earth. This is Acts 10, now I'm in verse 12. Creeping things and birds of the air. And a voice came to him saying, rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, no, not so. I've never eaten anything common or unclean. And a voice spoke to him again the 2nd time, what God has cleansed, you must not call uncommon. Now, verse 16 says, this was done 3 times. Remember, Jesus asked him 3 times. The number 3 is now stuck in his mind. 3 times the sheet comes down. 3 times the voice of God says, kill and eat. And what God has cleansed, don't call common or unclean. And then the object of this sheet is taken back into heaven again. Now, while Peter wondered within himself, verse 17, what this vision which he had seen meant, Behold, the men who had been sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house and stood before the gate. And they asked and called whether Simon, whose surname was Peter, was lodging there. And while Peter thought about the vision, okay, he's thinking about the vision, the Holy Spirit said to him, behold, 3 men are seeking you. 3 times Jesus asks him, do you love me? 3 times the vision of the sheet coming down and going up goes back into heaven, and the same words are spoken. Now 3 men are standing at the door seeking him. Coincidence? I doubt it, because all things work together for good to those who love God and are the called according to his purpose. And now the Spirit says to him in verse 20, arise, therefore, go down and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. So this is the Holy Spirit speaking to Peter. One more time. He's telling Peter, basically, get out of the boat and walk on water. You see, for a Jewish believer to go into the house of a Gentile is literally walking on water. It's defying tradition. It's doing something that's never been done. It's doing something that's not lawful to do. Remember when Peter went into Cornelius' house, he said, I'm actually here doing something that's not lawful for a Jewish person to do. He's being asked one more time to get out of the boat. I think all of the memories just cascaded all at one time into his mind. And it just, you ever had seen one of that film where all, like, it suddenly fast forward and everything makes sense? It suddenly makes sense. The getting out of the boat and walking towards Jesus, it suddenly makes sense why Jesus asked him 3 times, do you love me, Peter? It suddenly makes sense that the sheet comes down 3 times, that 3 men are standing at the door, that he's being asked to go, he's being asked as a Jew, in a sense, to walk on cultural water. It's not been done. It's not allowed to be done. It's unlawful to do what he's doing, to go into the house of a Gentile. But one more time in his heart, I think he's saying again, oh Lord, if it be you, bid me come. Bid me come. And so Peter leaves the house and takes some companions with him and goes into Cornelius' house. In verse 28, he said to Cornelius, you know how unlawful it is for a Jewish man to keep company with or go to one of another nation. But God has shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Then he begins to speak to them about Christ, about the cross, and I'm sure about redemption. And it says in verse 44, while Peter was still speaking these words, the Holy Spirit fell upon all those who heard the word. Cornelius, his household, and all of his Gentile friends that had gathered together to hear the good news of Jesus Christ. You see, Jesus needed somebody who was willing to step out of the boat and go towards the sound of his voice. All things work together for good to those who love God and are the called according to his purpose. And for Peter to leave this Simon's house and go to the house of Cornelius with an entourage was just as big a step for him as stepping out of the boat, walking on the water to Jesus. The difference this time is that Peter, because he had been trained, didn't sink. He didn't sink when the Holy Spirit fell upon Cornelius and his house, and they all began speaking with other tongues, just as the Jewish disciples had done on the day of Pentecost. He stayed standing. Why? Because he had been trained by the hand of God. He'd been led on a journey. He'd been shown something of the heart of God. He was free from his own sense of failure. And as Jesus had spoken in John 21, technically speaking, now I know it has a future application for him as well, but he's still stretching his hands out and he's being led into places that he could not have gone in his own strength. He would not have gone in his own strength. It's only the voice of God that is leading him now to do what he is doing. So my question to you is, where's God leading you? What is he asking you to do? Where will your life bring his name to glory? This was momentous because Peter's obedience and walking on cultural water into the house of a Gentile brought the gospel to the Gentile world, which most of us, not all, maybe on this line today, are Gentiles. It was Peter's walking on the water into the house of a Gentile that brought the good news to you and I. Thank God. And he was trained. because all things do work together for good to those who love God and are the called according to his purpose. You see, God's training you today. Your circumstance, your face might be melting in your hands right now as you listen to this. Your circumstance is not going to overwhelm you. It's training you. You're being prepared for something that God's going to do through your life. This was a moment in the life of Peter. He had other things he did, but this was a moment that changed the world. It did. This is Carter Conlon. Oh, God, I love you, Jesus. I thank you that your ways are not our ways and your thoughts are not our thoughts. Higher than the heavens are your thoughts than our thoughts and your ways than our ways. I hope today that my morning makes not only your day, but the rest of your life. See you again tomorrow. God bless.